Thank you so much for joining us. In the 2024 presidential election, Donald Trump received about 2 million more votes than Kamala Harris. Perhaps you knew that already, but did you know that more than 18 million registered voters, 10% of the voter pool, did not vote? Why? They told pollsters 18% were too busy, 15% didn't like the choices, 4% simply forgot, and so on. Well, it seems apathy among voters breeds contempt as we see candidates refusing to debate their opponents, disclose their tax returns, and otherwise promote civic understanding and participation. Our guests are trying to do something about that. On the left, Jason Galui. He heads the Endicott College Center for Civic Participation at Endicott College in Beverly. Also joining us, Alexandra Pintone of Saugus, a participant in that program. She's a rising sophomore at Endicott. Jason, Alexandra, welcome.
Hey, thanks
for being here.
Thank you.
So, Jason, my attention was drawn to a recent letter you wrote in the Boston Globe where the topic was candidates dodging debates. And you wrote that, quote, if we want leaders who debate, then we must raise citizens who can, end quote. What do you mean by that, and how does this program facilitate that?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having us. Thanks for inviting Alexandra and me here to talk about what's going on at Endicott, and specifically with this Center for Civic Participation, which really gets to this effort to inspire the next generation of Americans to really be productively engaged in our American experiments. And you know, for many years, my background is in the Army, so I very much serve the nation and think about this American experiment in very personal and professional ways. And leaders are able to put forth their vision, their ideas, and then to honestly and effectively defend them. And so at Endicott, through the Center for Civic Participation, we are rooted in Endicott's mission, which is to inspire leadership through transformational learning, to help these students begin their own journey. With the Center for Civic Participation, we're inspiring and activating citizens of character.
Well, when people are apathetic and they don't stand up, that's when we start to have problems. Alexandra, what do you see among your peers? Do you see people who don't care about civic involvement, or do care but really don't know how to act on it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wouldn't consider it apathetic, or our generation at least apathetic. I think there are a few main reasons. I think one of the largest ones is disillusionment. Sometimes we feel like our vote doesn't matter, and it sinks into just like this large pool of other votes, and that we're never going to actually see the change, even if we vote. Mm-hmm. Another reason, I think there's an overwhelming amount of information that we're not really sure how to break down. There are so many sources, and then just trying to figure out which source is actually reliable, and then how you want to deal with that information and process it. And then.
So, how do you break through the fog of apathy?
That's a challenge. I think perhaps a challenge of our lifetime. And you know, at the Center for Civic Participation, as we thought about it, and it's one of the newest initiatives at Endicott, we really rooted it in what the founding fathers wrote about, what Aristotle and Plato wrote about, and to reference Mr. Thomas Jefferson, who I recognize is from a different commonwealth than ours, mm-hmm. but he wrote about that the two greatest pitfalls to a republic are apathy and ignorance. So the way we try to what we're doing at Endicott, to try to break through this perceived apathy, which I would love to have a longer discussion on apathy, but what we're trying to do is equip the students to, as Alexandra said, to discern the information that's out there. The great irony in our world today is that we have access to more information than any previous generations, yet we seem to be have more misinformed than ever. So how do we help our students discern reliable information, and then how do they productively engage, which is what we're doing through the center, is to help students understand how society, the economy, and how government at all levels are designed to work, and how they can productively engage in it and make change, as Alexandra alluded to.
We got it. That's a very interesting point. We've got to take a break in a moment, but Alexandra, what would you say? I mean, I don't want to keep asking you to speak for all your peers, so just speak for yourself. When you're looking for information about politics, about civic life, where do you go?
I go to news articles.
Okay.
I go to my parents. I go to my peers, mostly at the Center for Civic Participation at Endicott, because Endicott's so diverse that we do hold different views, and I think that's one of the most effective things about it, actually, is that I'm able to hear other views from my peers, and then we're able to discuss them, and I'm able to hear their points, and then from there.
So, other than WBZ, of course, what would you say is your single most trusted news source? Do you CNN, or do you go to the websites like that, or is it, online, some kind of online source?
I do watch CNN.
Okay.
I try to actually look at different ones that hold different viewpoints.
Okay.
That way I can discern for myself what I believe is actually the best viewpoint.
Okay, interesting. All right. Welcome back to our conversation about civic participation, how to engage it, how to promote it, with our guests, Jason Galui, director of the Endicott College Center for Civic Participation, and a participant in that program, rising sophomore Alexandra Pintone. So, Alexandra, let's start with you here. We hear a lot of talk about trust and the lack of trust, and you kind of hinted at that. Some of your peers who say don't feel like their vote counts or it matters. How would you say is the best way to cultivate a better level of trust among young people?
I think one of the main reasons, to promote trust is actually just open discussion. I think so much of it feels hidden or too grand, where if you're voting for a presidential candidate, it feels like your vote doesn't even matter because their goals are so grand scale that your vote isn't going to actually change anything, or that you're not going to see the change that occurs, that it's claiming to occur. And I think the best way is just open discussion with peers and trying to level with each other on the understanding that your voice actually does make a difference.
This gets back, Jason, to that issue that you wrote about candidates dodging debates. Yeah. We've seen survey after survey shows that debates, televised debates, and other types, I guess, are a main way in which people get their information about and get interested in political campaigns. Yeah. So it's really bad news when a debate is being stifled in that way.
Well, I would agree, and I would, you led this first question to Alexandra with the word trust. Yeah. This whole American experiment is built on trust. And so to provide a framework for trust, the way I think about it is, trust, we either give trust freely or people earn our trust when we discern that they are of good character, that they're competent, and they're committed. And the debate stage is an opportunity for the people seeking power that we're going to hire to represent us in this republic are going to earn our trust. And so back to the Center for Civic Participation, while we think about citizens of character, we're really putting a lot of emphasis on character and what that character does in fact matter. And then from there, we can then have people productively and honestly engage in our civics, civic dialogue, civic inquiry in ways that will push the we and we the people forward.
Do you agree with that character really matters?
I think character is the most important part of civic participation. I don't think we're able to fully participate effectively without a strong foundation in moral character, because that's our best tool of judgment, in my opinion.
I want to use our final minute and a half here to end on a positive note, because I spelled out some of the problems with apathy and so forth, and some of the ridiculous reasons why people don't bother to vote when in an election where their vote could have been decisive. Let's start with you, Alexandra. When you look around, and again, you talk to your peers, look around the scene, what do you see as a sign of hope? Or do you see one?
I definitely see a sign of hope. I think if there's not hope, there's nothing, really.
So what is it? What makes you say, oh, wow, this is a good sign?
I think just more people being willing to listen to each other is the first sign of hope, because when we listen, then we're able to hear other points. And so I think just as for the Center for Civic Participation, just more people coming and listening specifically to our generation. And then I think open discussion is the first sign of hope.
What about you? What makes you hopeful, Jason?
So there are several things that make me hopeful, and I fully agree with Alexandra that, I mean, hope is the light that keeps us moving forward in all ways, across all facets of life. At Endicott, in my first full semester, I've been impressed with the level of curiosity in our students. They're asking questions, trying to make sense of this world around them. And more broadly, in my return to the North Shore, after being gone for 30 years, the spirit of collaboration across the North Shore, I've not expected this level of collaboration across, from Endicott to local nonprofits to local companies, all trying to work together in that voluntary association that Tocqueville wrote about a long time ago. And that's the hope and the spark, where back to this word "we," under "we the people," that I really see it come to life.
If people want to find out more about your program, how do they do that?
Well, thank you for asking that. Endicott.edu, and there's you can navigate to the Endicott Center for Civic Participation. You can also follow us on Instagram at our ECCP Instagram page, which is relatively new to me in that social media space. But that's where our generation that we're trying to inspire is at, and so that's where we're having conversations.
Alexandra, good luck.
Thank you.
Sophomore year, go get them. I'm sure you will. Please just don't try to take my job. I still need it, okay? Hold off a little bit on that. And Jason, good luck to you. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you, John, for having us.
Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much for joining us. Right now, I'm going to send it back over to my colleagues for, hopefully, some more hopeful news.